Wales are going through. Wales are going through. Round of 16, na. And welcome back to the one, the only Welsh Watch podcast. As you can see, it's your boy Ben Thomas. I'm joined with Lee and Ben. But the man, the Merthyr, the legend, Jack is back. How you doing, Jack?
Hello everyone. Hi, thank you, Ben. I'm doing good. I'm doing all right. It's nice to be back.
Beautiful. We've missed your face and that beautiful trip.
Well, it's going soon, so yeah, you might as well love it as it's still here. So yeah.
Right. Let's just get on to the game then. Let's talk straight about Italy. Let's go. So let's just get straight into it. Italy goal. There wasn't much you could do about it. Free kick given away, middle of the halfway. Whipped in, beautiful finish. Ben, talk me through. Did you see anything in the defence that was maybe a mistake there? Or do you think it's just pure brilliance from Italy?
It was a good run. I don't think there's much you can say. It was a good run. The finish I thought was really good. Danny Ward was at full stretch. It was an Italy goal. That's all it was. And I mean, don't get me wrong, they deserved to score. You know, if it had been 0-0, they'd have felt cheated. So I think it made sense.
Yeah, it was just a good goal, I think. But that's done. Let's not even focus on that goal because I don't want to hear anything more about it. We'll go on to the main talking point of the game, and that was Ethan Ampdu's red card. It did change the game, and we've seen similar tackles at the Euros that be given as yellows. You look at Lukaku's, it was exactly the same, and that was given as yellow. So you can think of that. But the more I watch it, the more I think it's a red card. I mean, it's late, it's an ankle breaker, but let's just get straight into what you boys think. Jack, what do you think? The Ethan Ampadu red card, was it a red? Was it correct?
Well, first off, when I saw it, I didn't think it was a red instantly. But after watching the replays, even though you're a Welsh fan, I still think, possibly it was a red card. And I do agree with the red card that was given. But seeing other challenges throughout the tournament, which are very similar, being given as yellow does make you think, well, why wasn't Ampadu yellow? So I think it was a red, but I think other challenges like the referee should come down a lot more strict on it. So yeah, I do agree it's a red, but I think there's a few challenges throughout the tournament that has been yellows, which should have been red, in my opinion.
Lee, what do you think? Obviously, you've just heard what Jack had to say. Do you agree with what he says? Do you think it's a red, and do you think they should clamp down more on those sort of tackles, especially after Ampdu's?
I'm very 50-50 with it. I can see where everyone's coming from, but I still feel it's very, very harsh. Yes, it's over his ankle. You could say that's a red card, but he's not going in 2-footed. He's not done it maliciously. I just think that's really harsh. Yellow is best. If he was already on the yellow, then fair enough. But I can't. For me, I can't give that as a red card. Because we've seen much more that's been given as a red or even just as a yellow. So yeah, for me, I can't see it as a red card.
Yeah, it's quite harsh when you look at all the others, and I think it could have been a yellow. But the more I look, I think it's a red. But Ben, do you think were you disappointed with Ampadu in a way? Because obviously he hadn't played any of the other games. He's only just come into the squad. This was his chance to put a stamp on his place in the team, and in my opinion, although it might have been a yellow, he did let himself down. And do you think he let himself down, and do you think it changed the game? What do you think?
I don't know. I don't think it changed the game. To be honest, I think it was an Italy win. And that's Baird had somehow scored that volley, which I think he should have. Maybe we'll get onto that. I don't know. But I personally, for me, I think it was a red. I thought it was a red on when it happened, and I still kind of think it was a red. I just think it was reckless. Even I know he didn't go in. His eyes were on the ball and everything, but if you put your foot through someone's ankle, you've got to expect, if not a red and a yellow. So I don't know. For me, I think it was a stupid challenge either way.
Yeah. Well, we all love Ethan Ampadu. It was a mistake, but he's got plenty of tournaments ahead. And to be honest, I thought that was an impressive 1-0 loss. Against Italy, they haven't lost in God knows how many games. They haven't conceded a single goal. And you saw how easily they rinsed Switzerland and Turkey. How impressed were you boys with that result, considering it's a 1-0 loss? And Jack, do you think we can take positives into the tournament? Because we've just put a good performance with 10 men against one of the dark horses for the whole tournament, I think. What do you think?
Exactly. Apart from the red card, I still think we had a really good performance. Like, we kept our heads. That's the main thing, obviously with the tackle and everything. But going down to 10 men, a lot of teams just freak out, and then obviously a lot of more goals are conceded. But no, we showed that we can keep our heads. And defensively, we worked really well. There's a lot of positives. And I know, like, with Kiefer Moore coming off the bench, like, there was a little bit of an insight that we wanted to get a goal. But, I think we were so strong at the back, and there's loads of positives to take into our next game now. And mainly just keeping our heads, like, staying calm, 10 men. Look, we stayed really calm. I think we did really well.
You talk about the defensive, actually. Joe Rodon, my God, that player. We were talking about him the other day, Lee. He's too good for Spurs. There is no way he should be at that little tin pot club. He's not at Spurs in a million years. He's way too good. And for me, he's the player of the group stage for our team. Any single ball that came in for Italy, headed out, kicked away, that man is on fire. And I don't know where Ben's going. Maybe he's going to go join the squad. But Lee, what do you think of Joe Rodon? Do you think he's your player of the group stage?
For me, tying with Danny Ward, but yeah, he has been absolute rock. 3 games, only 1 goal conceded, and that was from a set piece. I was comparing Wales' defence to Spurs' defence last episode. Wales are so settled. It's unbelievable. Even though we've made changes, bringing in Chris Gunter, Nico Williams, we were so strong defensively. And I think that's a very positive sign going into the knockout stages. If we do, well, we're coming up against Denmark. We'll talk about that later, but I think we can shut them out very easily, I feel. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And Joe Rodon's going to lead the way from the back. And Ben's back.
There he is, the man himself, just in time as well. I was going to throw a question your way. But Joe Rodon, we were saying the other day, he is like that 2016 Ashley Williams in my eyes, and going forward, he will be the captain. But obviously, we made changes to the defence. Nico Williams, Chris Gunter came in, and I thought they put in a solid performance, both of them boys. And Chris Gunter, how can you not love him? Ben, if he had scored that header in the first half, how mad would you have gone? What would you have done?
That would have been perfect. Like, they hadn't scored yet either. If he had scored that to put us 1-0 up, I don't know what would have happened. But it's a real shame. But he had a very solid performance. He's getting on now, but he's still he plays for Wales like it's everything to him, and you can see that every time he plays. Like, there's not much to say about Chris Gunter. He loves Wales, and you can tell every time he plays.
If Chris Gunter scores at this tournament somehow, say he gets another chance, are you getting a tattoo of Chris Gunter, Ben?
You really want me to get a tattoo during this tournament, don't you?
Yeah. Are you going to get one?
If you do, I will.
What number is he for Wales?
3, 2?
2.
Number 2? Number 2. We will get a number 2 tattooed somewhere on us if Chris Gunter scores the Euros.
Bottom of our foot.
Bottom of our foot.
Yeah.
We'll get Gunter, number 2, bottom of our foot, like Andy from Toy Story. He will be our owner. He will be our owner. But we've spoken about all the standout players. I thought everyone did put in a solid performance, apart from me, Fernando, who let me down a tiny bit, but I love him anyway. The underperforming players. Personally, for me, I picked out Joe Morale. And I think a lot of people on social media picked him out. Ben, do you think he looked poor against Italy? Do you think he was out of depth in that game?
In the first game against Switzerland, I actually thought he did pretty well. I think even in the first game, we still wanted Ethan Ampadu over him. But against Turkey, fell off a little bit. But against Italy, agree, out of depth is probably the right way to describe it. I think he looked out of place. He wasn't, his balls, all like during how he was maybe back in the start of the year or even before that, he's always passing backwards. He's not looking to push the game forward like Ampadu does. And like playing Ampadu at centre back, I just think was the wrong decision. I don't know though. I think Morale, I think he's good, but against teams like Italy and that, there are players who will add more. They'll add more like creativity. Like, he's not gonna win games for us. He's just gonna help us, if that makes sense. So I think there are a lot of players that could get in over him at the moment, but that's not to discourage him. I think he's had some really good moments during the tournament, but I just think there are players that can get in over him.
Like, you say that, Jack, is there anyone you put over him? Would you disturb the midfield? Because obviously they've created like a nice little bit of morale. weird. I know that was not a pun intended. But do you think you'd disturb that and bring another player in, or would you keep Morel in for Denmark on Saturday? What do you think you do?
Personally, I think I'll keep Morel in, only because I think his confidence just dropped a bit versus against Italy. I think it got to him personally that, versus Italy, one of the teams of the tournament. I think he just got to his head because in the previous matches, he's been a lot better. So I think I would keep him for Denmark, certainly. Yeah, against Italy, there's a few passes which were quite poor. But no, like Ben just said, I think he did have a poor game. And he could have worked on a few areas. But I would certainly keep him in for Denmark. I don't know who I would change him for. Maybe Will Vokes, but I'm not going to bring that back up. But obviously, yeah, I think I'd keep Morel in for Denmark.
Don't even mention Will. What a travesty he's not in the squad. Could you imagine he was there now? He'd slot right into that midfield with Ampadu red carded, not being available. Oh, if only you had a Cardiff City midfielder who's played really well all season and stood out in a blue shirt. If only there was that player available. But I agree with what you're saying. I don't think I'd take Morel out because maybe in the later stages, if Ampadu hadn't been red carded, I think I would have taken him out and put Ampadu into the middle. But now that Ampadu isn't available, Morel has that chance against Denmark to show that he's worth it and he can actually play. And against Italy, I just think he wasn't strong enough. Italy are too good. And Denmark is actually more his level. So Lee, with that in mind, would you play Joe Morel against Denmark?
Well, echoing what you just said, if it wasn't for the red card, even Ampadu would have been in there. But I think we have to go with Morel. You could argue you could maybe play Wilson or Brooks, but I think with it now being the knockout stages, we've got to be a bit more cautious. And I think Morel is just that perfect player to play alongside Allen in midfield and Ramsey. So, yeah, I mean, it's disappointing that we can't try something else out. But I think with Morel playing all 3 games so far, I think it's worth sticking with him. And like Mercer said, I don't want to ruin his confidence even more because he hasn't had the best of tournaments. But hopefully he can show what he did against Switzerland.
Well, with all the positives and negatives aside, we are qualified. And when are Wales going to be spat with a Q on the end? Because we can't stop qualifying for things. Put the World Cup aside, ignore that. Don't need a World Cup yet. But we're qualified, round of 16, Denmark on Saturday in Amsterdam with loads of Danish fans, no Welsh. Sorry, I'm going to go on a rant there. But anyway, let's now go on to Denmark on Saturday. Let's go. So now let's move on to round of 16. Denmark, Amsterdam, Saturday, 5 p.m. And it's been an emotional tournament for them, obviously, with the Christian Eriksen thing. And that has spurred them on a bit. They lost 1-0 against Finland in the first game, a 2-1 against Belgium, but then battered Russia to cement their place in round of 16. But look at their standout players. They got Poulsen. He is a dangerous striker. He could cause anyone problems. Damsgaard, I'm pretty sure he's the one that scored that 25-yard worldie the other day. They got Christiansen, scored a banger. Honestly, Delaney. They've also got the melt, Cornelius. If he plays, we're fine. We're going all the way.
Cardiff City legend.
He is a Cardiff City legend, to be fair. Cornelius, what an absolute melt. But hopefully he plays. Hopefully he's in the starting lineup. But Ben, which of these players, like Poulsen, Damsgaard, Christiansen, Delaney, who do we have to look out for the most, like in this team? Who's going to cause us the most problems?
For me, I think it's Damsgaard. I've watched the Denmark games this tournament, and there are going to be clubs coming in for him this summer, I'll tell you that. He looks good. He's quick on the ball. He's really good at dribbling. He'll get crosses in. We know that he can shoot now. So I think Damsgaard's one to watch. I think Poulsen's height and his physicality is a threat against any team. And, their defence is actually quite a good defence. Gerrand, Christensen, they're pretty solid. They're a good team. I think they're actually very similar to us in terms of who they've got on the pitch. So that Damsgaard's the one I'll single out as a player that I think we can keep our eyes on. But I think they've got a really strong team either way. They're very good, and I think they'll surprise them potentially.
I agree. And also, with all that crowd behind them, no Wales fans. I'm going to stop talking about that because I will go nuts. But Poulsen, he's a player that's actually impressed me a lot this tournament. Hopefully he gets injured. Well, not hopefully, but hopefully they play that Melt Cornelius. But if Cornelius doesn't play, Jack, do you think Poulsen could cause us issues? Does Joe Rodon have enough firepower to deal with him?
Well, does he have enough firepower? Well, I think he has it in him, but will it happen on the game? Will he show it? I don't know. Because Poulsen, like Ben just said, the height, his physicality, a huge threat. Like, obviously, we've got Kiefer Moore up the top. He's pretty much, I think they're about the same height. So he's got a lot of height in him as well. Yeah, he's going to be a massive threat. I know we had a tap in the last game, but that's just giving him confidence now. So going into this game, he is going to be a huge threat for us. The whole squad, the whole team are definitely going to be a huge threat. But also, obviously, was it 4-1 the result?
Yeah,
4-1.
They got through the group
Obviously,
stage.
they're coming off the back of a 4-1 win. We're coming off a 1-0 loss against Italy. I think their confidence and all their fans behind them is going to be like a 12th man for them. So I really think we've got to dig deep and just shut them all out. Because I think that's going to be our biggest downfall is the lack of fans. And yeah, with their win as well. So it is going to be a tough one, but I think we can do it.
I hope we can. Lee, battle of the goalkeepers. Leicester goalkeepers. You got Schmeichel going up against Ward. Is this the time where one of them cements their place, or do you think Schmeichel's got the Leicester spot next season? And do you think Danny Ward should leave? We've spoken about it before, but this whole tournament, has it changed your mind in any way? Do you think he should leave?
He should leave 100%. You got to feel for him because I feel Schmeichel has got that number one spot at Leicester secured for what he's done over the past however many years he's been there. It's been amazing. So unfortunately for Ward, he's not going to play for Leicester, but he's guaranteed to get a place now. His performances, even against Italy, he looked so calm at the back. Considering we made changes, I was a little worried at first, but Danny Ward back there just brings that confidence in that defence. And I think that's what might get us through Denmark. If we can keep them out with Danny Ward, Joe Rodon, Chris Metham, Ben Davis, if they can stay strong, then we've got a very good chance against Denmark.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to the strikers as well. Through this tournament, we've faced some big strikers. Obviously, look at Switzerland. They got that Embolo player. I can't really say anyone's names. Turkey, they've got some good, strong striker. Italy as well, they got Belotti, Immobile. Ben, do you take confidence from those games going into this that we can actually do with Poulsen?
100%. We know that we can defend. I think that's what being one of them. I actually think that is the biggest thing that I think we've shown this tournament. Our defense has been brilliant. Even like 1-0 against Italy is a great result when you really look at it on paper. So I think our defense is definitely capable of dealing with Poulsen. You know, someone who's got Champions League like semi-final experience. Like we know he's a good player, but I think we can get it. That's the thing. Getting him out of the game is going to be massive. Crosses into him need to be dealt with, and he can shoot. So don't let him get onto his right foot, and we can deal with him.
Yeah, hopefully. Also, we talk about the fans. We've been outnumbered in every single game so far. I mean, that first game, I think we had 300 fans in Baku. We had 400 in Baku for the next game, I think. So there's only a 100 raised. And then in Italy, I don't think we had that many. So we've been outnumbered for the Red Wall, best fans in international football. I've tweeted it countless times, and even if they're not there, they're going to make their voices heard. But let's look at a past record against Denmark. I mean, we've played 10, lost 6, won 4. And recently we have actually played them. 2018 Nations League. It doesn't make for good reading, boys. I'm not going to lie to you. 2-0 away loss. A 2-1 home loss. Minute silence for the boys. Jack, does that give you any confidence whatsoever that maybe we can turn the tide? Or is it a knock to the system?
Obviously, looking at those results, it gives us no confidence. Well, don't give me any confidence anyway. But those happened, how long ago was that? 3 years ago? Like, they've happened, right? Going in, fresh mind. all the results has happened before and don't matter. Whoever goes into this game comes out on top. That's all that matters. So all the other fixtures, I don't think really matters and shouldn't come into any perspective. So no, I don't think that should worry the team. It shouldn't worry us. No, I don't think it should knock out confidence really.
And you look at that 2018 squad. No Joe Roden, I don't think anyway. No Kiefer Moore. What a squad we got now going forward, boys. I'm so excited for Saturday. But now we've looked through the Denmark squad, we've looked at all their strengths. What changes would we make for the squad? Would you revert back to our original team that we played against Switzerland, Turkey? Or are there any changes you'd make? Because obviously, Kiefer Moore for me comes back in, obviously, because the man himself, what a beautiful man. The train, oh, what a beautiful guy. Ben, what changes would you make? Obviously, we're going to have him up on the screen now because we are going to make them. What changes would you make?
There's only one change I'd make to the team that started against Switzerland and Turkey. I'd keep everyone else the same. I think the attack works. I think the defense worked. But I would take Joe Morel out personally. And one player who I think hasn't been spoken about enough, I think Matt Smith could be perfect replacement for him. Hasn't played yet. Very similar player, but I just think he has that more going forward. He's willing to push forward a bit more. And he impressed me in the friendlies over the past 6 months or so. You know, since I remember the first time we saw him back in maybe September of last year, he was getting some friendlies in then. And, you know, we were all kind of like, not sure about Matt Smith. You know, he's a Man City player. I think he was on loan at Doncaster last year. So, you know, I think he's improved a lot. And he's very similar to Morel in terms of his play anyway. And both defensive mid, I think he'd be a nice little replacement if he can. I don't think it'll happen. I'd be very surprised if Morel doesn't keep his place, to be honest with you. But I think Matt Smith is a nice little replacement for him if we were to switch him up a bit, maybe just give Morel that break, I suppose.
I agree with what you're saying, because in the last few friendlies that we played, he played some of his best football in that Welsh shirt, and he really impressed me. And I'm not surprised he hasn't had a chance in this Euros. And I would disagree with you. I don't think I'd change anything. I'm not gonna lie. I think
that's the thing. I don't think Rob Page is going to do that. I think it'd be very surprising if the team is not exactly the same team that started those first two games. But I'd like to believe Matt Smith could come in and just show people that he has improved.
Jack, do you agree with what Ben's saying? Are there any changes you make? For me, I go with that normal one that played against Switzerland, Turkey, the one that actually got us through to the round of 16. Jack, are there any changes you make?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. The first two matches, I think I go back to that. I think against Italy, I believe we had a 3-man at the back, which I didn't think worked. I know we had 2 full-backs up far up, but I don't think it worked. In the first 2 games, like you said, we played a lot better. Honestly, I would just go back to that starting 11, that formation, because it worked really well. Like, there was no need to change. So I think we just go back to what we had in the first 2 matches, really. And maybe, obviously, we keep them all back in, not coming off a bench, because we obviously need him from first minute, getting those goals in for us. So, yeah, I'd go back to the first starting 11 we had.
I can't wait to see that beautiful man on the pitch again. Every time he steps onto that pitch, I get goosebumps. That man is the most beautiful man in Cardiff. I tell you that. Lee, are there any changes you'd make to the squad, or would you keep it similar?
I've got to agree. I've got to keep it similar. Just don't change the winning team for me. The only thing I'd maybe bring up, and it's maybe a possibility, would you boys go with maybe a back 5?
No.
To do it? No?
No, not for me.
I wouldn't do it.
I just thought maybe
false 9.
No, not a false 9.
Lee, if you suggest a false 9, you're out. You're gone. I never want to see a false 9 ever again in a Wales setup. Oh,
and you know it'll happen at some point.
Oh, the hatred I have for that false 9, boys. I don't think I have hatred similar in my life to that false 9. But no changes made. We'll stick with the normal team, I think, anyway, and I don't think he's going to make any changes. And that now brings us on for the all-important part, the predictions. At the moment, I'm undecided, so I'm going to do what every host does, and I'm going to throw it onto you boys first. So, Lee, I'll start with you because you're looking at panic. What's your prediction?
2-1 Wales.
Nice and confident. Nice and confident. Who's on a score sheet? Who do you think scores?
Gareth Bale and Joe Rodon.
Jack, what do you think? Score prediction, please.
Yeah, it's so tough. But I think it's going to be 1-0, second half. Kiefer Moore, corner, similar to the first goal. Yeah, that's it. That's it. It's going to be. I think it's going to be a boring, not a boring game, but it's going to be very. Both teams going to be sitting back, and it's going to be 1 or 2 chances for the whole game. That's what I think. 1-0.
I think there'll be a lot of chances, but I think it'll be a very tight game. I think it'll be like someone puts a ball wide whenever. I think it's going to be very nerve-wracking, and in walkabout, we're going to have a few pints down us already because I don't think my heart can handle it. Ben, what's your prediction?
So I don't want to stress anyone out right now, but my honest prediction is I think it's going to be 1-1. I think 0-0 in extra time, and I think it's going to penalties for me. I think it'll go pens. I don't think anyone's considered the fact it can go to pens, by the way, but I think it's going to pens, if I'm being honest. I think we can win on pens. I know Gareth Bale missed a penalty early in the tournament. That's not going to fill us with hope, but to be honest with you, I'm thinking it's going to go pens. I think both teams are score threats. I think both teams have good defenses. Don't think it's going to be high scoring, and I think it's going to go to pens. Can you imagine walkabout on a penalty shootout? I think people might actually pass out.
I'm going to be one of them. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't think I can watch pens. I remember Cardiff City versus Liverpool. I could have watched.
So,
I was under my
honestly,
upstairs.
I think it's going to go to pens, and I think everyone's going to lose their minds.
I actually think that's a really good prediction because in the group stage, I probably would have went with a draw because both teams are quite similar with the players they have on the pitch. But
I might have to bet it.
Might have to put a tenner on that. But
Yeah.
I'm not good for that. I cannot do a pen, so I don't want that in my head. Oh, but then is it going pen? I'm going to say 2-1 in extra time. 2-1 extra time. I think someone goes off injured. Chris Gunter comes on, scores a winner, puts the boys through to the quarterfinals. Me and you, Ben, Chris Gunter tattoos by next week.
On our feet.
There we are. And then the boys are going all the way. Quarterfinals, semi-finals, finals. We're lifting the Euros. You've heard it here first. And then we all go to the Welsh setup. There we are.
Sure.
Can't wait.
Anyway, boys, that's all the time we got for today. That was episode 17, I believe. We are going through these. Or was it 16? I don't know. You tell me. But
17.
That's all we got time for today. If you want to see anything else, go to the description, have a look on our channel. There's all sorts. Go follow us on Twitter because it is popping off at the moment. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you after the Denmark game. Well, I may be dead. We don't know. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.